Hey everyone, welcome to another video. Today we're going to talk about issue number 2 of The Resurrection of Magneto, written by Al Ewing. But before we dive into the story, I want to ask you a favor. If you enjoy this video, please leave a like and a comment to help the channel grow. So with that said, this issue opens within one of Magneto's flashbacks. And in said flashback, Magneto and Namor is on a mission in the deep ocean as payment for a small plot of land. And when they opened a door into the darkness, they ended up facing a great beast. And the way the Sea Witch waged war was by playing a game in which Namor chose poorly. But as for Magneto, he chose wisely. So with the key in hand, Magneto requested the Sea Witch to release his friend, which she begrudgingly did. So with Namor freed, Eric turned his focus towards the key and asked the Sea Witch what does it do? In which the creature responded by saying, "It remains with you. Because once you have it, you can never lose it even in death. Until the day it is turned. All the same, keep guard of it, for it is the key to the door of judgment and purification." So with that said, Magneto kept the key in his pocket and never removed it, and even as he suffers, Eric to this day feels the metal in his pocket. And despite all the pain he had endured up to this point, Magneto in this place of judgment still refused to turn the key. And no matter the punishment, no matter what he had earned, he held fast to his decision. So as he crawls through the lava, Eric slides his hands upon the stone. And on said walls are all the names of people who died because of him. Now, some years ago he told Storm, he turned his back on God forever as a boy. Because he can no longer believe in any power that can fail his family and his people. He continued to say that he would not follow a God that would allow death and horror on such a scale. And with nothing to pray to, he swore to himself that if he had the power, if he only had a chance, he would not fail. But ultimately he failed many times over. He failed loved ones and friends and strangers, as well as his own child. And as the years went by, he also ended up failing Krakoa. Now this is an extremely big deal for Eric, because he once believed that Krakoa was supposed to be the hope. A dream made real, something he could hold on to, something he could create and replace the sins of his past with. But instead he failed, so as Eric thought to himself within his own torment, Storm appeared before him. And before she says a single word, Storm summons snow to cool the air as an act of compassion. Because when it comes to Storm, compassion was always her deepest instinct. So as the goddess descended from the sky, she tells her friend Max that she heard him call out to her and she felt his pain. So she had to come and answer his calls and even save him if she must. And once she was close to Max, she asked what exactly he was doing. In which Magneto tells her that he is reading every single name of each person that died by his hands or in his name, by action or inaction, by intent or by accident, those he regrets having taken and those he doesn't. And because of all the chaos he brought upon the world, he believes that every name must be counted. So with that said, he has been there for some time. And he has almost finished reading all the names. And by reading these names, Eric is able to acknowledge the full weight of Magneto upon the world, the full weight of his works. So with anger in his heart, Max threatens Storm to leave before he is forced to add another name to the tally. And just as Storm asked if Max was threatening her, Magneto launched a metallic bust of himself towards her. So with crazy reflexes, Storm summons a lightning bolt from above and eradicates the incoming item, sending shards flying everywhere. And in a commanding tone, Storm states that the world isn't done with them. But Max begs to differ, because back when he was alive, he sat at a table and he remembered a time when they were playing a game of nation building to appease Charles's sense of right and wrong. He suggested a nation of laws, and in his hubris, Max did all he could to enforce those unenforceable laws. He stood in front of his fellow mutants and condemned them to exile in the pit as if they were the same as Victor Creed, and swept them away like a brutal inconvenience. So in the end, that cruelty alone earned Max all of this. But nothing weighed heavier on his heart than the exile of Toad. Because Toad was cast into the pit as a scapegoat and took the blame for Wanda's murder, because Wanda would have never agreed ahead of time. But in the end, Toad did, because deep down Toad still loved her and was loyal to Max. So because of Toad's actions on the behalf of Magneto, it is only right for Max to be judged. Because if you think about it, Magneto has already judged both mutants and humankind, so why should himself be any different? So with that on the table, Storm says that she thinks that she should talk to Wanda. Now this was something that Max did not want to happen, because through Wanda's work and Toad's sacrifice, the waiting room was created and Thunderbird, alongside thousands of other mutants, was brought back to life. Now this was the last straw for Storm, because she brings up how similar he is to Charles. Because just like Charles, Max uses people for his own ends and plays the martyr when it doesn't work out. And when his decision to destroy everything, he ends up wallowing in pity. So with that said, Max stopped dead in his tracks and asked what happened to Charles. Now, with this question asked, it prompted Storm to tell him everything that happened. Like how Orcus came for them and killed many mutants, and then offered them a choice. A choice that crippled all of mutant kind. And as she continued the story, Max interrupted her and told her how he asked her to watch Charles. Now with the bad news delivered, his heart became molten steel and rage consumed him. And in a burst of power, Max summoned all the nameplates and sent them flying towards Storm. In this moment he sent each and every last name hurling towards the person he trusted. Because in his eyes, the task of observing his life's work was only up to him to abandon. So over and over again, Max reached out for a name and sent it flying towards Storm, and each time she dodged it. Until Max reached for his own name, because ultimately, he was responsible for his own passing. So as grief consumed Max, he dropped to his knees as the weight of his life bore on his shoulder. Because in the end, Max could have stayed and given Krakoa a chance. Max could have tried to make things better, make himself better, reach further, do more, ensure their garden grew in kinder hands. But he felt as if he endured too much, lost too much. Because Max's failures were too great. So just as Max was on the verge of shutting down, Storm put her hands over his bloody eyes and told him that there was something he needed to see. And as she removed her hands, before Max was a list of every single person he had saved. Every single person he is responsible for. So with clarity, overflowing Magneto, he reaches for the key that followed him his whole life and finally turned it. So as the key turned, an overwhelming feeling of fear gripped Magneto as the floor flew open beneath his feet. Not the door to life, nor the easy path, but instead to a place somewhere else. Somewhere dark and very, very cold. So as Storm asks where they were, Max was forced to say he doesn't know. Until out of the dark came laughter, and before them appeared the Shadow King. So with that said, issue number 2 of the Resurrection of Magneto comes to an end. So with that out there, if you want to stay in the loop about any individual storyline, then how about you hop over to the playlist section down below or in the link cards above to get all caught up on the X-Men runs. So with that established, I hope you enjoyed this video, and please don't forget to leave a like and a comment if you want to see more videos like this. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next review.